Hello, in this video I want to give you a quick demonstration of the LMBFWatchlist and LMBFDraw indicators and show how well they work together when you analyze your charts using Metatrader 4 and how much easier it will make your life. The first thing I want to do is to add these two indicators to my default profile, and this will mean that each time I open a new chart they will be automatically there on my charts. So to do this, I'll just make sure I have my default profile as it stands, and then I'll just add these onto the list and accept the default parameters. Okay, then go to my templates and say save templates, select default, save. Yes, if you don't already have the default template, then you can just create a new one in exactly the same way rather than overwriting the one that already exists. Having added that, you can see that we have the watch list here in the top right corner, which has two predefined watch lists. The first one is a list of your favorite currency pairs or commodity symbols, and the second one is a predefined list of some of the major currency pairs. Now you see you can't change this list, you can't add to it or take it away. This is just there for your convenience. And for example, if you click on any one of these, you can display the currency pair in your window. Also, you can use a tab key to move through them one by one, or shift tab to go back the other way again. You'll notice that to the right of each currency pair you have a plus symbol. If you hold your mouse over that, it says add AUD CAD to favourites. So this is just a way of adding a particular currency pair to your favourites currency list. So for example, if I add Euro CAD, you see it changes to a red star to show it's been added to your favourites, and let's say USD Yen as well. Again, it changes. So now if I go back to my favourites, you'll see that these two have been added. If I change my mind and I don't want it in this watch list, I can just use the minus to remove the list. And that's exactly how simple it is. The next thing I want to do is show you how to create your own custom watch list in addition to the two that are already present when you first load the indicator. To do that, you need to go to the parameters of the watch list indicator. So in this case, I'll right click, go to indicators list, double click on LMBF watch list and enter the name. So I will call it Graham's list. Oops. If I OK that and then close that, you'll see now there is another list called Graham's list added to the watch list in the top right corner. So you can still scroll between any one of these now three lists, and you see it's retained the items that we've added in the favourites. And the other way is if you click on the list name at the top, it shows you a list of each one. You can actually take this away, delete it if you don't like it, and I will just do another one. If I go to, just select indicators list there, if I go to indicators list, open that up and call that another list. OK on that, close, and now another list has been created. If I click on that, you now have four lists, and if I don't like Graham's list, click on that and it goes away again, and I can select on any of these lists just to get there. So I now have three lists, and let's say I want to start adding currencies to a list. So if I just go to first list, and I want to say look at the, let's say gold, and I like this list, so all I have to do is select the other list I want to add it to, let's say another list, and then add chart symbol, and there you have it. If I go to any list. So I could actually open, let's say, pound. You see it automatically has this list here, and I can just add a chart symbol to it as well. And I can keep on doing that for as many pairs as I want. Let's say $CAD, add chart symbol. If I don't want to use this mouse, I can just press the plus key. So I'll do one more using just the plus key. Let's say Aussie dollar, and then I'll just press the plus key, and there you go. And you notice that the current chart being shown, if it's in that list, it's always shown as red. And you can just say click on different one of these to go straight to it. If you particularly like it, you can use the plus sign to add to the favourites list. Star is shown. Click on there, and you can go to favourites, and here you are, your 2 favourites in the list. So that I have a list to work with, I now want to create a list of just the US dollar pairs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, go to indicate a list, double click, and I'm going to say USD pairs. Okay, close this, and you can see we get a list. Now I'm just going to go to, there's 2 ways of doing this. You can either do it by creating a list of all the major currency pairs and just deleting the ones you don't want, or you can open each chart individually and just add them to the list. I'm going to use the first one just to show you how that can be done. So if I go to the US dollar pairs, and then I use the the M key on the keyboard, and you'll find it automatically populates with all the major currency pairs. And then I can just simply delete each of these I don't want. Now I'll just use the ones involving the US dollar. I won't have gold or silver. Oops, and I just deleted the yen pair. Fortunately, I can quickly add it in just to show you how that's done. Go to the yen pair, and then add chart symbol, and there you go. So I can just close all but one of these charts if you like, and there you have, still have the USD pairs shown in that list that you just created on another chart. Now quickly, I just want to show you how this works with 2 open charts at the same time. So if I add, let's say pound dollar, and then I tile these side by side, and you see both lists appear at once. You can move through these lists and they will both stay in sync. You can, let's say, if I add gold to this list, you see it instantly appears in both windows on this list. Similarly, if I remove it, it disappears from the list. And I can move through these, I can pick a different list, and you can see this always stays in sync. So once again, if I add to favourites, favourites is shown here. This time it's not in red because this chart is not shown here. Okay, so now I want to move briefly to do some analysis and show how we can add in pairs that we're interested to our favourites list. So first of all, I'm just going to delete all the symbols from our favourites list. That's easily done using the option at the bottom of the list, and I will just explode this window, and let's just add a couple of lines to there. So in this instance, I'm going to use the LMBFDraw functionality. So if I hold the shift key down while clicking the bottom of the candle, I get a solid line drawn back from that candle. If I do it from the top of the candle, shift click, I get one at the top of the candle. It doesn't have to be exact, it just does it right at the top of the candle. So I'll just delete these here and just leave that one line in. Now if I do something similar using Control and click, I will get a dashed line. So that works exactly the same way, but this time you get a dashed line. Just delete that. Now one of the great things about this is if I add another instance of the pound-dollar chart, you see we have two instances down here and it automatically has this line on it as well. So what I will do is I'm going to close this XAU USD and then just tile the two pound-dollar pairs side by side. I'm just going to add a few lines. Let's say we have a trend line, we're going to draw it like that, and hey presto, it appears on both windows. I'm actually not quite happy with that, so I'm just going to move it to this side and it moves. So pretty much anything you do with objects, whether it be lines, vertical lines, horizontal lines, trend lines, shapes, circles, triangles, rectangles, labels or text boxes, whatever you do on one chart, it will automatically happen on the other chart. So let me just add a shape, insert shape, rectangle, just to show, say, an area of supply or demand in this case, and you'll see it appears on these charts. So very easy to use. If I actually don't want to get any of these lines, I can just do the Shift and the D key for delete, Shift D, and they all disappear off both charts. So very simple to use. So I'll just go back to enlarge that one window and close one of them off. So I now quickly want to do a little bit of analysis on the pairs that I've set up in my US dollar list. So I'll just switch to that list and click on Australian dollar at the top of the list. And here we go. And I'm just going to quickly draw some trend lines, support and resistance on each of these charts. So do one there. US dollar's got them already. Pound dollar. Kiwi dollar. One from here maybe. US dollar CAD. Dollar Swiss. Away, and the dollar yen pair. Let's do a little bit of resistance from here. Okay, so now we can easily move these through these lists, and they do clearly retain the trend lines that we've drawn on the charts. So I can just tab through them or shift tab through them as I want. And again, if I just close that chart, if I open up, I'm going to make a US dollar CAD chart and it retains that list, and I can just tab through them and the lines are still there. Just quickly, if I go to profiles, I'm going to save as my profile. And I'm going to delete, no, I'm going to add a trend label. So let's say label, we call it uptrend. Okay, and that's in dollar Swiss. If I now go to my original profile, default profile, click on $Swiss and you see that it also remembers that we're in an uptrend. So once you've done these labels or lines or any other objects, then you don't need to redo them every time you open a new chart or change profiles. Very handy indeed. So now I want to quickly show you how the candle patterns identifier works with the LMBF tool. So the first thing to do is to select the time frame that you might want to look for a specific candle pattern, and I'm going to say the daily chart. Then click on candle patterns at the bottom, and at the moment there's just two in the list, which are pin bars and fake outs. So these will have extra items added to this list, so there'll be more different patterns that you can look for in the future as I develop this tool, but for now we're just using these two. So let's say I want to find the pin bars on the day chart, so I select pin bars and it instantly brings back two currencies on the daily charts within a new list called daily pin bars. You can see it's a new list. If you click on the name and you get a list of all the existing watch lists, and here it is as a new list. So just bring that back, and I'll just go to the CAD Swiss chart, and you can see that there is a bit of a bearish pin bar there, not that convincing but still there. Swiss yen, again an even less convincing one, so I might not even want to keep that in my list at all, so I can just delete it from my list. You can either maintain these lists directly, or you can then add them to your favourites list as well, so that you've got a list of currencies that you want to go back and look at a later stage, even when you renew this daily pin bars. Now in the previous example I demonstrated the finding pin bars on the daily chart. You can do the same for any time frame. Obviously the smaller time frame you get, the much more signals you're going to get from more currencies, so it's best not to go really below the H4 I would recommend. But just to show you, we can also go to the weekly for instance and do exactly the same thing. So pin bars on the weekly, we have EuroCAD, we have, oops, just lost the thing there, pound yen, nice bearish pin bar there which is being followed by a nice down move, and the pound kiwi. So there we have a bearish pin bar what has actually hit this support layer and bounced off and broken the level at the top of that pin. So we will move that one from the list and maybe just consider these two. Okay, so just to sum up, we've shown how you can create new watch lists. You can add and take away currencies from that list. You have your favorites list that you can add currencies to. You can go up or down a list using the tab key or the navigation buttons at the top to move through the different currencies on that list, and you can use the candle pattern identifier to create new lists for a given time frame, and that all comes with the LMBF watch list tool. In terms of the LMBFDraw tool, that allows you to draw the horizontal trend line starting from the top or the bottom of a candle and either dashed or solid, and it also takes care of synchronizing objects across charts of the same symbol. So just quickly to remind you, as a little while ago, if I added a horizontal trend line there and I inserted a rectangle at this layer of demand, and then I opened up another chart either deliberately for some reason or purely by accident, and I set the EuroCAD, which is the same one, go to the weekly time frame, and you can find it's got exactly the same graphical objects, and that covers labels, text boxes, horizontal and vertical lines, trend lines, triangles, rectangles, ellipses, did I say labels and text boxes? So pretty much every type of object, arrows too, barring the channels and fib lines. Now that concludes the brief overview of the LMBFDraw and LMBFWatchlist indicator utilities. These are both available in the MQL5 marketplace, and you can also download a trial from that same site or just rent it for a month or longer period, as well as buying it outright for ongoing use. I hope that's useful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me at graham@letmebefree.com. Thanks for your attention.